What's up, Zox fam? Now, we're going to be getting into the first video on this channel, and this is going to be a beginner's guide for 2024 for The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this, and there's probably a lot of you guys that are new that are trying to figure out what exactly you need to be focusing on. So we're going to be jumping into that. Now, don't worry, there will be more videos to get a little bit more in depth as far as the shops, units, and even updates and tier lists, right? So make sure that you guys like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss on any of that, and you're always locked in to always be up to date on any of the news and information that's coming into the game. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, because we have a lot to talk about. All right, now the first thing we're going to be talking about is actually going to be relevant to the units, right? And that's going to be housed under your roster. Now, I think it's important to get familiar with this because this is something that you're basically going to be utilizing, and I would consider as a part of your foundation of your gameplay experience. And there's going to be two components that I really want to talk about when we're talking about the foundation of your gameplay, right? Now, the first thing here is obviously getting familiar with the attributes. So we have the aggressive faction, which is going to be also aka the red units. We have the cunning faction, which is going to also be known as the green units, the rational faction, which is going to be your blue units, the yellow or gold or light faction, which is going to be your humane units, and then you also have the purple dark units, which are going to be your brutal faction. All right, now of course, like I said, the most important thing to note with that is that these are going to be your units that you utilize to compile your teams, right? Now, before we actually hone into a team, I want to take a look at a unit just to kind of break down what exactly are the functionalities that you need to be aware of when trying to build up a unit or invest in your units. Now, what you'll notice here is that my Lori Grimes is a base 4-star unit, so you don't raise the star rarity of the character when you're talking about their entry level or entry star rating, right? So you have 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars, and 2 stars, and I think there's even 1 stars that you'll be able to obtain through different gachas as well as different events and things of that nature that also appear in the game. Now, it's important to note that your character can equip one piece of equipment, and they also have the ability to also be leveled, as well as not only in their traits but their actual like base level, and also you can invest or level up a character's skills. So if you see here, the button highlighted right now says level up, and it's going to be using a resource called survival manuals and food, which we'll get into a little bit later, so you can actually take that unit up to the next level. Now, we'll level this unit once so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about, but if we hit it once, it gives the unit some power, and it will take that unit to level 2. So the base stats that are typically going to be raised from leveling a character is going to be your attack, your defense, and your HP. Okay, so be very, very aware of that. Now, the other thing to consider too is that you also have your traits. Now, traits are going to be a little bit of a interesting thing and more in-depth thing that I'll get into in another video, but overall, what your traits are going to allow you to do is either to be able to perform better with the character's unique skill set in either battle or within your town, help you produce more resources, aka survival manuals, or other items such as wood, food, etc. But like I said, I'm gonna have another video that gets a little bit more in depth in this, because this is its own video respectively, right? So that's that. Now, if we are looking at the last thing here, which is going to be your active skills, this is at max upgrade, but if the skill is not upgraded on the character, it will black out the skills that are not leveled or not hit yet or acquired, and then you'll see the ability to be able to level those up, right? So let's actually go to a character that we can level right now. All right, so we got one lit up right here. That's a 4-star, and this is going to be Carson. So we go to his active skill. You see here, it's blacked out, and it's the +5. Now, it is going to require you to use the duplicates of characters or survival emblems to be able to take that character's skill up to the next level. So that's what duplicates in this game does. It gives you the ability to raise the skill values of your character so that they're able to perform or do what they already do better, right? So if we hit upgrade, he is now max, right? So that's basically that. Now, I will break down the resource exchange and just how that kind of works in the shop guide that I'll be doing, because again, that's its own video as well. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys a basic understanding. Now, the last thing is to, outside of the ranking up, which we'll talk about that in a second, you also can equip your characters with gear. The important thing to note with gear is that you really want to be aiming for 3 stars. Just starting out, 3-star gear is going to be great. And even when we're talking about red star, 3-star gear, that's still going to be more than enough to get you to the game. And it's going to be really important that you invest in that to help you get through some of the early guided missions that you need to be going through and doing, right? 4-star gear is a luxury, and you really only want to focus on those if you decide to spend or be more of a pay-to-win player. Pay-to-win player. You can use these earlier, but what I'm really referring to is red 4-star gear. That's definitely something that's going to be a really long-term component to your gameplay loop. If you want to expedite that, you will have to spend at least starting out, all right? So I just want to make sure that I make that a point to mention. Now, it is going to be important to note too that you can also rank up your characters. So when they do hit their level caps, for example, let's take a look at my Shiva, it is going to have a different amount of resources required based off of the rank up that you're going to need to be hitting. But you are able to hit and click on whatever respective resource it is that you need. If you have any boxes in your inventory, you can use that to give you those rank up materials, or you can go to the respective game mode that drops this. So there's going to be the mileage shop, there's game modes such as story campaign, even scavenge mode. So there's a lot that goes into that, but nonetheless, it is really well done and it can guide you to where exactly you need to go. So you're not going to have a lot of issue finding the proper resources to each character and where exactly you can find that for each character at all. Okay, so that's basically that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, since we're here on the screen, is going to be setting up your team. Okay, so we kind of have this idea that there are these 5 different attributes that you want to be utilizing. You can level them, you can rank them up, increase skills, and as well as investing in these traits. Now, the main component here, and the reason why I wanted to talk about that first, is because we got to place them on a team. So what is going to be the most recommended team comp style or starting, I would say, piece of advice that I would give for a new player coming in? Now, my advice would be to build a rainbow team. Now, what exactly is a rainbow team? A rainbow team is one of each attribute. Now, the other component to this is, does my team need to have a healer? Now, I would say that there's 2 different ways that you can honestly play this game, and this is all via your preference. You can use a healer, but there aren't many AoE or full team healers. They heal with the ability to heal adjacent. What that means is that wherever they're placed, they'll heal the unit on the left of them, and they'll also heal on the right of them. So then that begs to ask the question, do I need to have 2 healers? No. What you want, right? So let's just go ahead and place our team comp. And let's actually swap these 2. So this would actually be, and let's just for video's sake, we'll place one of my healers. This is going to be my team comp that I decide. Oh, sorry, we got too many of one element. There we go. All right, so this is going to be the rainbow comp that I'm going to be utilizing, which is going to consist of a brutal, a humane, an aggressive, a rational, and a cunning unit. Now, the reason why you want this to be the case is because it will allow you to be able to make use of every puzzle piece type that you have pop up on the screen, and I'll show you guys that in combat. Now, the other thing that's also worth noting too is that when we're also looking at the overall utility, there is going to be different units that are going to be really good on a team with just brutal units, or really good with mixed units. So you have to also be aware of that when you're putting units together. But overall, this is going to be the basis of what I would generally advise. Now, of course, when we're on the topic of using or having healers, there is something called battle items in the game. Okay, now your battle items are also going to be a huge component and probably one of the most important components to you building a team. Now, there are going to be healing items that you can bring. So for example, bandages here, you're going to have a energy bar, which is going to allow you to use your ultimate on your characters. So there are items such as coffee, which will be able to restore energy to one ally, and they allow you to hold up to 10 of these each, right? Now, there are going to be a slew of different resources which are going to be really important. Some of the ones that I really like, for example, is like the grenade, which this will deal damage to all of the enemies that are on the field, and as well as reducing their accuracy for 4 turns. So you'll see that be really nice because that makes it to where it's hard for them to hit you, and or landing any debuff effects that they might have. And then I would even say, like, just for the sake of survivability, or if you want to have more capability of giving, like, say, more DLT damage, you can also bring frag grenades, which I don't have any crafted right now, but worst come to worst, you can always bring more medicine or more healing so that you can kind of make up for those healers. So there is a way for you to traverse and get throughout the game without necessarily having a team comp full of healers. I would say having some healers would be nice in the very beginning, but you don't have to go too crazy to feeling like you have to build all of these for each attribute. That's just not the case, okay? So that would essentially make up and compile your entire team, and as you get a much better team, you are going to be considering a lot of other factors. What are your characters, like captain abilities or traits that they have, so that they can give you more benefit to having them on, say, a rainbow team versus having them on their attribute specific team. Now, I will mention on what points you want to have attribute specific teams versus not, but like I said, that will also be in its own video, just to kind of emphasize what are the perks or the benefits of doing one or the other, right? So we're gonna hit apply here. And that is going to be basically everything that's in that in a nutshell, just kind of overviewing it under your roster. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, there is going to be another component that is going to be really, really important for the foundation of your gameplay as a newer player, and that's going to be your town. So there is a town building aspect to this game, and being aware of this is going to be really, really important, because what this is going to allow you to do is to generate more resources such as food, wood, and a couple of other things such as survival manuals. So if we go to, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the town defense, you're able to get resources such as your survival manuals, which is required for you to be able to level up your units, and as well as being able to invest in like things such as your armory, so you can craft better gear, and then even down to your crafts center, which will allow you to craft, your workbench, which will allow you to craft the items that you're going to need to bring into battle. So like I said before, those items that we're going to be needing to go into battle, like the fragmentation flask, which I have none crafted, we're going to craft some of these because this is really going to be super, super important for me to be more successful in getting through the game, right? So we're just going to craft 40 of these just so we have them, and it's on a timer. If you want to skip, there is going to be a skip functionality in the game, which you can use gold bars to do, but I would really say that as a newer player, you really want to take advantage of the VIP that you're given for free in the very beginning, because that really is going to help you with power spiking your town. Now, my advice as far as what you should be leveling, it really is going to be your storages first, in my opinion, because the more storage capacity that you have, the more that you'll be able to house as your town is generating resources such as food, etc. You don't want to run into the issue earlier on where you don't have enough storage to house the resources that you're generating, because if you claim something and it doesn't go in the storage, it will be discarded. So just keeping that in the back of your mind as food for thought, that's going to be the basis of what really helps you get throughout the game, especially when you're talking about your town. Now, I'm going to have a town guide to get a little bit more specific into what each component of the town does, but just to kind of give you a brief overview of your town, it is very important, and you definitely want to make sure that you are investing in it as you go, but don't feel too pressed. Again, this is going to play a huge component or a lot into how you might invest in your units when you're talking about traits, which again, that will also have its own video as well, right? So that's basically that. Now, I want to actually shift into some of the game modes, because this is obviously a game you're playing, right? So the other component to it is, and I would say the first thing that you're going to experience is going to be the story mode. Now, this is going to be a good opportunity to actually show you guys the team comps, right? And just how that kind of works. Now, there is going to be 3-star challenges to the stages, and when you clear that, it's going to allow you to be able to auto or skip ticket the stage, right? So there's going to be a challenge rewards reward, which will give you gold bars. And then there's also going to be other items for you to craft, for you to rank up your units, and even to level up your units that's going to be acquired via beating these stages or farming these stages if you decide to skip them, right? So we're going to go ahead and use that first team that we actually compiled, and we're going to go and fight this stage, right? Now, this is going to require backpack energy, or it's just called backpacks, and you're going to be getting a load of those as a free-to-play, so don't worry, okay? So the other thing, right, guys, is like I said, like I mentioned earlier, you want a rainbow team starting out so that you can take advantage of every color type that's here on the field, right? So the first thing we're going to do here, I'm going to actually match that. We're going to just start working on these ads. Now, this is why I say items are so important. In the beginning, you're not going to use them as much starting out, but you'll notice that once the difficulty starts to spike, your items are going to make a huge difference. So we're going to use this smoke bomb so that they don't hit me as much, right? And then if I wanted to, if we get closer to our energy capacities, we're going to go ahead and energy recharge some of our allies so that we can get some ults off, right? So let's go for this fire chain here. Now, I am going to have a guide that gets a little bit more in depth with combat, because there are certain chains that you want to be aware of that allows you to be able to get different pieces that will pop up on the field. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually go for our ultimate here and just get rid of that. Now, each ultimate, again, varies based off the unit. Some are self-sufficient, some are going to buff, some are going to heal, but that's really all going to be up to what the unit does, right? So we're going to use our beta here. He actually does a adjacent defense break, right? And then we're gonna go for our chain here. And that just gives us some energy to our rational and cunning unit. And then here, we're gonna go ahead and get that 4 chain. We'll drop the 3 chain here. Nice. And now to finish this off, I guess we'll go with that. All right, nice. Yeah, we got a pretty nice combo right there. And again, guys, there are attribute advantages to disadvantages. So you might have just noticed that that said weak. And just to kind of give you a perspective here, the aggressive is strong against cunning. Cunning is strong against rational. And rational is strong against aggressive, right? So again, when you're hitting the respective attributes, you get a 200% damage increase. When you're hitting the attribute advantage, it's a 50% decrease, right? And that's actually really bad when you're talking about trying to, make your units actually finish off an enemy. And then of course, brutal and humane are going to have a advantageous relationship amongst each other, so they're only strong against each other, right? So just to kind of give you guys that perspective and just understanding on how that exactly works, right? All right, so there we go. Now we're on the last wave, and then here we can just kind of, luckily we got everybody with their ults, so we're just gonna go ahead and pop everybody's ults here. All right. And the cool thing to actually understand with ults is that when you pop your ults, it doesn't actually use your puzzle turn. And so when you're actually trying to decide what to do first, you want to use your ults first, then do your puzzles. Because if you do your puzzle pieces first, it is going to lock you from using your ults. And then that can honestly determine whether or not you win or lose a fight, right? So you want to just be very, very aware of that. So let's go ahead and get these enemies out of here. Oh, we got some nice chains right there. All right. And then Rick should be able to finish us off here. That's 1. Let's go do that. Nice. Okay, and then we just need 1 more chain, and then that should be GG, okay? So once you beat a stage, you'll notice you get your 3 stars. If you 3-starred it, you'll also see that you'll have your EXP, which is going to be going to your account level, how much wood you collect, food, and survivors, which will allow you to generate more survival manuals from collecting these survivors, right? So this is one of the first game modes that you're going to actually experience. And after you clear a stage, you kind of go through it, you are going to be able to collect star rewards, which is going to give you a slew of different things. So like for the first one, I think it actually was like a resource for like a battle item, but once you get towards the end, it's actually going to give you a rare recruit token, which is what you utilize for the gacha, right? So story is going to be a huge component for you collecting resources that you need to use for crafting. So this is definitely going to be something that you need to do as a newer player. Now, some of the other game modes that you want to be aware of, story stages is going to be for your pure enjoyment. There are some resources that are attached to these though, right? And if we actually go into the stories, right? We're gonna go ahead and skip this. You'll notice that these are going to have some challenges to them, so they will have some mileage, which is what you get for getting units from the gacha, as well as duplicates from the gacha, especially once you already have maxed things out. And then you're also going to be able to get some gold bars and a rare recruit token. So there's going to be some benefit to doing this. There's no like crazy game progression that comes from this outside of you being able to acquire the additional resources, right? Now you also have the high-rise tower. Consider this our tower mode, where you'll be able to climb and collecting a respective resource here for you to be able to spend, which is going to be the tower coin, which it has its own respective shop. Now I've cleared all of this in the current update, which is floor 60. So you are going to be traversing and working your way up on this. So again, if you have any questions and you get stuck on a floor, don't be afraid to ask in the official Discord, because then that'll allow you to have, like I said, some more insight on what the mechanics are that you need to face. So this isn't just like make a rainbow team in a lot of cases, but there are going to be some attribute bonuses where, like, say for example, cunning units, when they use or you connect a puzzle piece for them, they actually get more energy recharge, which allows them to ult more, right? Or there might be a gimmick where the enemies block skill damage. So there's going to be a lot more mechanics that kind of play into high rise and being able to clear it, but it is fun nonetheless, right? Now on top of that, some of the other game modes is scavenge. Scavenge is going to be kind of like the labyrinth mode of the game, where you'll be able to take a respective squad, right? And that's if they're, like, for example, I need to go back to level 8. So for here, we're able to actually take an entire squad. Now each squad needs to be at the respective level that the stage is asking for, but when you take these units into here, there's going to be different stages that you're traverse through that'll allow you to actually be able to get another resource, which is used for its own respective shop here, which is going to be the exquisite ornament, as well as hidden goods. Now like I said, I am going to have a video getting a little bit more in depth in shop priorities, so the items you want to buy, and so I'll be recovering what exactly you want to use these resources for. But you're also going to be obtaining your trait tokens from here, which again is another component once you're starting to think about what and who you want to utilize to generate more resources in your town, right? So that's what scavenge mode in a nutshell is offering. Now you also have, once we go back, you have the disruptor and the all-out war. Now this is going to be pieces of content that are attached to your guild. So being in a guild is going to be very important, because disruptor, once you're clearing this with your guild, it's a cooperative effort, and basically think of it as a guild boss, where you'll be able to actually deal damage, landing on a scoreboard, where you'll be able to get resources at the end of it according to the damage that you deal. Now this is going to be really good because it will give you resources to help you build up your unit and like even be able to pull on the gacha potentially. So you really want to make sure you're doing this every single day. Now they also have guild versus guild, which is going to be the all-out war, where you'll notice, and we'll actually be able to go into it since this is active, but these different enemies will come out onto the field. They'll blow down your defense fence and then you're going to be able to attack. So once everything is set, you'll notice that there's going to be each or individual boxes, and the blue is going to be representing your side, the red is going to be representing the enemy, and then from there you're going to take your respective turns and formulate your 3 teams on your defense, and taking your offense trying to clear those 3 teams on the enemy side, and whoever clears and beats the most amount of teams, or I should say spots, they will actually be the victor for that respective war. And then going into the ending of that, they will then have the entire guild be rewarded with resources to again allow you to be able to further build and invest in your account, right? So that's basically that. Now the main thing to these is just making sure you contribute. I'm not going to get into any specific metas just yet because I want to keep it short and sweet for the beginner's guide, but there are going to be units that are more efficient to utilize in all-out war, and even in another functionality that a lot of you guys are going to be playing, which is raid. Okay, now raid is what I would call PvP. So in a nutshell, what raid is actually going to be offering, you are able to search for an opponent, but it's going to be important for you to also have a really strong defense. You want to do this as much as you possibly can though, because you are going to be getting a resource called cheese. Now cheese is going to be utilized for you to actually invest in exclusive gear for your characters, which gives them a exclusive ability and or buff to be able to perform better when in their like respective like I would say role and in combat, right? So that's what you're working towards here. Now, the other thing is too, this does drop another resource, which it shows you food, which collects in your stable, but this will also drop leather, which is also utilized to be able to craft gear, which is really, really important. Now, again, like I said, we'll have some more videos getting a little bit more into like raid and the metas of raid, because there's a lot that goes into it. But I would say starting out, use your rainbow team just to kind of get jump started into it. And that would be perfectly fine. Okay. Now, outside of that, we've covered all the game modes. We've gone through raid, which is our form of PvP. Now, the last things that I really want to make sure I get into in the beginner's guide is what events are going to be going on, or daily tasks that you need to be aware of. Now, the daily tasks are going to be one thing. For example, here you have wanted tasks, right? So defeating enemies in raid, defeating enemies in general, doing your disruptor. These are going to be at the end, giving you survival manuals and other resources to help you build up your account, and they will reset, if I'm not mistaken, on an hourly basis. So there might be like anywhere from a 6 to 24 hour timer based off of what the respective task is, right? Now, under the event tab here, you're also going to have a whole bunch of different things, whether it be the daily login. There will be a few passes which do have free to play sides to them, and there is going to be the friend invite. I definitely recommend that you guys invite as many people as you can, not because we're just trying to get more people to play the game, but because it's going to give you more opportunities to get the VIP, which is going to be necessary for you to maintain 2 builders, and as well as, again, you get extra gold bars and additional pulls from here. So I've been able to get some people to get on it. I just haven't promoted mine like that. So if you are trying the game out like for the first time, or you haven't done this yet, I am going to have the link to my invite so you can download the game and try it out for yourself. All right. So that's basically that. Now, if we go back here, there will be more events, but right now is probably the perfect time because there are no special events. So you don't have to worry about this necessarily being out of date. Right now, the other thing is you have your achievements. Your achievements are going to be here, which basically is going to give you an idea of what exactly you've accomplished during your account, upgrading your town hall, upgrading player level, etc. Now, they are going to be rewarding you for these things, so you definitely want to make sure you're doing as much of it as you can, because it's even going to lead to things such as 5-star selectors, right? And these are some of the things that you get free to play, and it's very obtainable and very easy to get as a free to play player, right? Now, you have challenges as well, which is going to be basically the same thing, but it's mainly going to be gold bar based, so just being aware of that. All right. Now, the last thing that I want to cover as far as what's important for beginners is going to be this, right? The survival guide. Now, the survival guide is not only going to be giving you mission rewards as far as tickets to pull, trait tokens, rank up material, food and wood, but it's also going to be giving you survival manuals. What do you use that for? To level up your characters. So it's very, very important. Now, of course, like I mentioned before, there are going to be some bumps and roads you might come across, which again, investing in 3-star stuff for the weapon is going to be really important to the component of the survival guide. But you want to make sure you're following this, and this will really help you with staying on task as far as what should I be leveling in my town? What should I be investing in as far as my units? So for example, having 2 characters level 200, having 800 trophies in raid. So this will keep you on some sort of agenda as far as what you need to be accomplishing, and how you go about this is at your own pace respectively, because there is no timer attached or associated to it, right? Now, outside of that, the last thing that I really want to make sure that you guys are aware of is obviously the gacha, right? So the gacha is going to be another huge component to your experience, pulling for units. Now, there are going to be a few different things you want to be aware of as far as pulling on the gacha. There's going to be your regular recruit tickets, which is going to be classified as the rare recruit tokens. You're going to also have the attribute recruit tokens, which is going to allow you to pull on rotating days for from a pool of attribute specific units from 3 through 5-star. So this is a really, really good thing to save up, because then you isolate the banner to just that one attribute. So if you're trying to pull for a specific rational unit, or at least try your luck to get that unit, it's going to give you a much higher chance, considering that it's condensed to just, for example, like this day is rational, right? Now, you also are going to have a weapon gacha. Now, I know some people get scared with that, but this is a very free-to-play friendly weapon gacha. You obtain these tokens all the time, so you do not need to spend gold bars on this banner. If you are spending gold bars, that's just because you're trying to rush your process and you really don't need to. I promise you, 3-star gear and the gear that you get from events are going to be more than enough for you to be able to get through the game, okay? Now, there also, one of the last one is going to be the daily recruit, which is going to be utilizing your normal recruit tokens, which is going to have some base 3 stars that you'll be maybe taking advantage of. Some 3-star equipment can appear here as well, and some lower rarity things which can be used as fodder or EXP to help you level up your equipment, right? Now, of course, with that, this isn't anything that you want to go too crazy with, but I will probably consider this in the first video that'll be coming for 3-star units to invest in, because there are going to be a lot that you can pull from this specific banner, right? Now, outside of that, when you're talking about pulling, there is a 70 unit pity, and basically a point is given for every pull that you do. So within 70 pulls, you can basically guarantee that you are going to be getting a 5-star unit. And the other thing that's worth noting too is that we have something that's kind of different from other games, which is a monthly exclusive. So the monthly exclusive unit is going to be a unit that basically appears in the gacha that is going to be not necessarily rated up, or actually, yeah, they are rated up, and they're going to have a really high chance amongst the pool to be pulled, and it's going to vary in terms of attributes. So last month we had an aggressive unit named Dwight. This month we have Carl. Now, the important thing to note about exclusive units is if you want them, monthly exclusive units, is that if you want to pull them, you need to pull them then, because we don't know yet when that unit that was in the last monthly is going to rotate back. So you want to make sure that you're grabbing them when they appear in the gacha. If they really do appeal or fit your character's team comps, or you really like the character's kit, you really want to make sure you grab them then so that you don't miss out on them, right? So that is always on a 30-day timer. So that's essentially the gacha in a nutshell. Now, outside of that, guys, everything else that's in the game as far as like what to build and things of that nature, I am going to have those all in separate guides, because I really want to make sure that you guys are getting that information. And it's not just a whole bunch of stuff crammed in one video. So this video is already at like 30 minutes. So we're gonna actually end it here. So I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you have any additional questions, don't be afraid to drop them down below in the comment section as well, and or joining the official Discord. Now, I also have a Discord myself, so I will have the link down below. Again, guys, we will not only just be covering Walking Dead Match 3 Tales on this channel, but we'll also be covering other strategic RPGs that you guys might enjoy. So I have some polls going just to see if there's any other games that you guys are maybe looking forward to that you really want to get into. So again, keep an eye out for that. But that's basically going to be that. I hope that this video was able to give you guys some insight and really just allowing you to get your foot kind of wet and jump started into the game. All right, so that's gonna be that, guys. Everyone stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.